Hey guys, welcome to JMW Tech. Today we're going to look at 5 computer parts that you should not cheap out on when building your computer. I can understand it's enticing to cheap out on a couple of little things here so you can get the next best graphics card or processor, some RAM. But let's take a look at 5 things that you shouldn't cheap out on even though you want to. So coming up first, we're going to look at cooling. Specifically to do with fans. Now, it is important to get yourself a good cooler with a good structure, maybe liquid cooler, something high quality, so that you do have a lot of fins and surface area to allow hot air to dissipate and replace with cooler air. But the fans, really, the heart of it all is the fans. And if you get a cheap fan like this one, now I got this one off eBay. I got this one off eBay for $5. Looking over some fans here, we see that there's a lot of cheap fans. They're all promising RGB and for very low prices. Now, don't do that. Every time I've bought a cheap fan from eBay, it's broken within a month and it starts squeaking and squeaking and squeaking like this one does. Imagine trying to use your computer and having a non-stop squeak. It'll drive you absolutely crazy. And if you have a cheap fan, you're just going to have to live with that until you get a replacement. So save your money right off the bat. Don't get a cheap fan. You can get something middle of the road like this up here. This is per fan. These up here, they're about $10 per fan. And they're not going to squeak, and it'll get you a much better experience than $5. For twice the price, you get more than twice the quality. So minimum $10 a fan you should be looking to spend. Also, when it comes to cooling, you're going to want to get some nice thermal paste. Now, you don't have to get the nicest thermal paste if you get a nice cooler, because there's already going to be some pretty good stuff that comes with it. For instance, this Noctua already comes with some pretty nice thermal paste. So you get a cooler like the Noctua and you're not going to have to worry about getting thermal paste. You get cheaper coolers from eBay. Don't do that, but if you do, you're going to want to get some nicer thermal paste, because what's a good cooler without good thermal paste? So, well, that's that for the cooling section. So let's hop on over to the other point that I have. The next item on the list is power supplies. The worst thing you can do is get a crappy, terrible power supply that you get for $15 on AliExpress or eBay, maybe even Amazon, and your computer not boot up, or you're trying to run a heavy application, your graphics card pulls a bit more, and it keeps shutting down. Right off the bat, you can get a good, cheaper power supply from brands like EVGA that actually serves quite well. This one here is only $70, 750 watts, and this one will be reliable. And if not, they have a great RMA support. Now, I'm not sponsored, obviously. I have 40 subscribers, nobody's sponsoring me. But I use a lot of EVGA power supplies, and I find they're pretty good. Unlike brands like this where you buy, you could even find something like this on Kijiji. Somebody took it out of a pre-built and is selling the power supply. Don't do that. Let him keep his power supply that he got with the pre-built and get yourself a nice one. Still relatively cheap. You don't have to get gold. Get something like this, which is, what is this? Bronze? This is bronze. Get something like this that's bronze, and it'll last you a while. You don't have to worry about it. The next item on the list are cheap SSDs. These can be good in some scenarios, and others not so much. Now, for your primary boot drive, you're going to want to get something like the Sebring or a Western Digital. The XPG, there's kind of XPG gate going on right now. They're slowing them down. So I find that these are still reliable, but they're not going to be as fast as advertised. So be cautious of that. These are all good SSDs for boot drives. Now, if your only intention for the SSD is just to play games on it, well, then you can go a little bit cheaper. A lot of these don't have the feature where if it fills up, it maintains a certain speed. A lot of the cheaper ones, they start to fill up, they get slower. So just be aware of that. And obviously with cheap products come less reliability. So if you're only using it to store your games that you can just re-download off Steam and all as well, yeah, you can go cheap with the SSD. But don't use it as your main boot drive, because you have sensitive data there. And even if you don't, it's just a hassle to reinstall Windows. So SSDs is the other one. The fourth thing on the list is cheap PCIe adapters or PCI adapters. For instance, right off the bat, I was looking to put in another M.2 drive, SSD, and I got this one here for $5 on AliExpress. And I said, okay, it says it fits the M.2 standard, so it's going to be fine. I plug it in and I get 400 megabytes a second off a 3000 megabyte per second read and write SSD. Then I go on Amazon and I spend $25 and I get this. And now I'm getting around 1800 megabytes per second. So it's still not the full 3000 megabytes per second, and that may be due to bandwidth limitations, not necessarily the adapter. But when I interchangeably hot swap these, this one maxes out at 400 megabytes a second. I can't get higher than 400 on this one. So when you're getting something to transfer data, you can buy a $200 SSD and expect to get 3000 megabytes per second, but then you get an adapter that can only do 400. You're not going to get the full value. So it's important when you're getting expensive SSDs and stuff that reads and writes at a certain speed to get an adapter that will allow it to get that speed. You don't want to lose out on any performance that you paid for. In the same category, we have Wi-Fi cards. This Wi-Fi card was quite cheap. Hold on, I'm running out of space. I gotta switch over my card. I'll be back in a sec. Just like magic, I'm back. So, to do with the Wi-Fi cards, don't cheap out on a Wi-Fi card. You get a Wi-Fi card like this. I paid $9 for this on AliExpress. It works okay, but all the cheap Wi-Fi cards only have 2.4 gigahertz. None of them have 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So you're going to lose out on a lot of speed. When you're playing games and you're downloading, you want to keep a good consistent speed. 2.4 gigahertz isn't going to get you that good a speed. You get maybe 15 megabytes per second with a card like this. Get a more expensive Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 5 card from a reputable brand, and if not, look at the reviews. Make sure. A lot of Amazon purchases have fake reviews. You'd be surprised how many cards you buy that it comes with a little slip in the mail, say we'll send you something for free, or we'll give you half your money back if you leave a good review. Don't fall victim to this. You're looking through cards. Make sure that they're not including this, that it's honest reviews. Try to stick with name brands, but if not, look on the reviews. It's very important that if some of them sound suspicious, if they're short and sweet, people don't want to put a lot of effort into good reviews, so they can just they get their free whatever they were promised from the crappy card. Make sure they're lengthy and have a lot of detail, and maybe not too much detail. It's hard to tell which reviews are legit and which ones aren't. But if you stick with reputable name brands, then you're not going to get fake reviews. That's a big problem on Amazon right now, is like people leaving fake reviews because of promise of of stuff back in return. So that's something to watch out for. RAID cards. I don't know who buys RAID cards anymore, but if you're buying a used or a cheap RAID card, look at the reviews. I got this one for $10 on eBay. I had to get 2 of them to get one that worked. So just be careful. This one I'm just doing for a retro build. I have a cool video coming. It won't be coming soon. I'm still collecting all the parts. That'll probably be somewhere next year. But I'm doing a retro build, and it takes a lot to get working parts for older equipment. But just be cautious to do with that. And stuff like this, USB. I've had hit and miss experiences with USB cards. Sometimes I've got cheap USB cards. They work great. When you buy a cheap card like this, it always comes with a little disc. When you get that disc, it's not going to be the most reliable, because everything should work natively. Some manufacturers will include the disc just in case you don't have access to internet. Like, it makes sense to include a disc if you're buying an Ethernet card, because maybe you don't then have the internet to go download the drivers. But something like this, watch out for purchases that, if this costs $10, it's probably not going to work great. This one here is $20 and it actually works pretty good. But I've also got, USB cards that I paid $10 for and they don't work at all. So important with these is to look at the reviews. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but be very cautious when buying PC Express cards, because there is a lot of cheap crap out there that it's just not worth buying. It's wasting your money. And the fifth and last thing today is accessories. Buying a cheap mouse or a cheap USB adapter. Now, this is a good one. I got this one. This is a Ugreen. I actually find Ugreen's not a bad brand. I got this one on Amazon for $30, and it actually works great. It does the SD cards and it gives me full speed. I get like 110 megabytes per second, which is the rated speed of the micro SD card. And I find this one worked great. Now, I got this one for $2.50 off of eBay. And this one does not work. it will recognize it, but the second I start to transfer data, it cuts out. You can't expect much from a $2.50 card, so I would recommend not even trying it. It's not going to work, and if it does, you'll be lucky to get 10 megabytes per second. This Kingston, sorry, this Kenningston drive is not great either. This I got, I think, for like $8. It's supposed to power 4 USBs and it's high power, and it came with a little power adapter. Doesn't work. It's not. Don't buy cheap adapters like this. It won't get you anywhere. You're gonna, lose your mind trying to figure out why you're having intermittent connecting issues with your USB devices on your computer. Just don't try to. When it comes to mice, I got this mouse for what was it, $6 on eBay. You can look, I'm sure you can find this one. I think, is that it? That's pretty close. All these cheap mice on eBay, I would not buy them because look, this $4 AliExpress. These mice, while they do, I find they do work. They connect and they work, but the tracking is terrible. You have to have the best mouse pad to get some sort of tracking, and then you're still gonna find the pointer's gonna skip. Get something nice, like I have this ROG one. This one works pretty good. This is more on the expensive side. You don't have to get an ROG mouse. Get something Logitech, get something name brand, something that works. Going this route is not a good option to take, spending $5 on a mouse. Don't cheap out on your mouse. Also, there's no benefit to having a cheap mouse too, because you're not going to get a fast polling rate. Going with a more expensive mouse is going to give you much faster response. It's going to give you an advantage in the game. You don't want to be putting yourself at a disadvantage. You'd be better off getting a faster mouse. If anything, go a bit cheaper on the keyboard, because you can deal with softer dome keys and still have a relatively fast response time. A mouse is a really important tool for gaming and even for office work. This mouse has addressable buttons. It's got quite a bit of them. When I have this set for volume up, volume down, copy, paste, stuff like that. Good for office work. With the cheap mouse, these you can't program these. These are non-programmable, so you're going to lose your mind trying to program these. And on this one specifically, forward is the back button and backwards is the forwards button. So they had it reversed. I don't know how they managed that, but they did. It's a $5 mouse. I'm not disappointed. But at the end of the day, don't waste your money on these cheaper accessories. Just right off the bat, get yourself a good accessory. And well, folks, that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. And if you have any suggestions, you can leave it in the comment box below. If you don't like the video, you can dislike it. If you like it, you know what to do. Thanks for watching.